Hello tanks and tankettes and season's greetings! I bring you a Christmas miracle. Now, as you may or may not be aware, I am something of a fan of the AMX 40. In fact, I have over 400 games played in it. What if I told you that Frenzia here has nearly 800? Yes, there is somebody who loves the duck even more than I do. I'm sure Caption Guy might put it in a slightly different fashion, but what does he know? He does not appreciate truly how OP this machine is. So this is a tier 5 game, which is not too bad actually. You at least have some chance to make a difference in a tier 5 game. It's when you get into a tier 6 game that you start to feel truly screwed with your pants on. I'm going to take a moment here to point out his setup. I obviously don't know his crew, but I'm assuming they've got one if not two or more crew skills because he's played nearly 800 games. And so he might even have, you know, 3, maybe even 4 crew skills. Maybe he trains this crew in other tanks. It's possible. I mean, if you've got the 1357, for instance, the AMX 40 crew fits in there perfectly. So it's possible to have an OP crew on a tier 4 tank. It just takes a bit of grinding, that's all. He does also have the food consumable, which helps out a lot. I mean, that gives you a 10% buff to your crew skills right there, which is fairly significant. And if he's also using ventilation, I mean, let's assume he's got ventilation, Brothers in Arms, and the food consumable. That's the best possible crew skills you can get, of course. And even if he doesn't have that, well, as somebody who's played the AMX 40 a fair bit, I can just tell looking at this replay how much faster that aim time is, especially compared to not using the food consumable. Now, I don't tend to use it myself just because it is rather expensive on a tier 4 tank, but it's also the best way to get the most out of your tier 4 tank. Binoculars, well, I mean, if he's got a good crew on it, that's going to stack up nicely. It is a light tank after all. I mean, it doesn't feel like it, but technically it is, and therefore it gets light tank bonuses as regards to not getting spotted yourself when on the move. Though, of course, you don't move around all that fast. And his ammo loadout, even lastly, well, not that much AP and not that much heat compared to how much HE he has. That's because the gun, well, dare I say it, it's not very good. And by the way, yes, that sound is what you think it is. It is exactly what you think it is. I made a special little version of the Sixth Sense sound for this replay only. I'm not going to use that all the time, but I thought it was fitting. So yes, when you get down tiered like this, I mean, even the HE isn't going to do that much, but it's better than the 0 damage that your AP shells will do a lot of the time, because the AP is really rather bad, on top of the gun handling being really rather bad. So if you want to do any damage at all, HE is what you go for. It does have heat shells. And I don't know if you remember all the way back to the great heat nerf of, what was it, 8.6? It was 8 point something. A lot of the 105mm guns got nerfed, and even things like the 122mm derps, I think the 150mm, or the 152mm derps rather, also got some heat changes. I think that was when the SU-152 lost its heat shells, for instance. But for some reason, for some bizarre reason, the AMX 40 also lost heat penetration. And it was not particularly, it was like 98? With the premium ammo, which for a tier 4 is not exactly spectacular. I mean, there are far better. Consider that the regular AP on, for instance, the M3 Lee is like 90, was it 91, 92? And now the heat shell is around about the same, actually. It lost like 9 or 10 millimeters of average penetration. And that's average penetration, so, you know, the low rolls can be that much lower, and the high rolls are going to be that much lower as well. So, yeah, I don't know why that got nerfed. That one is still a mystery to me, why they felt the need to nerf the AMX 40 back then, but they did. So anyway, he's resorting to his heat shells against these Churchills, and if you can get the right part of the flat surfaces, then it's fine, but yeah, he's had some pens and some not pens. That Churchill, by the way, got away on 1 health. The Valentine had also escaped on low health, but no, he was able to finish that guy off. So he doesn't have much choice here. I mean, he's firing his heat, and oh, well, that guy stopped unexpectedly. But the chances of it penning at this range, I mean, he's getting some pens, but he's also getting some bounces. So, I mean, the advantage of heat, especially for something like the AMX 40, is the penetration does not fall off over distance, but you also have different rules when it comes to auto bounce angles and such. But he's actually getting fairly lucky with a lot of these shots. He's actually penning the top armor in some cases. So that Churchill is now very low health. And there we go, finishes him off with actually a pretty decent, I think that was an HE shell. It's difficult keeping track almost because he switches between the shell types so often. You really have to. When you're top tier, you can fairly well rely on the AP, except against things like Matildas and B1s, for instance. But even in a tier 5 game, yeah, I mean, he's out of the heat already, so it's now just the AP, and that was a lucky pen, and HE. So, finishes off another tank. That's that other Churchill dead. He's finished 2 now. He's got 5 kills. But, well, despite this having stabilised, as it were, it's come down to being very close. It's 4 versus 3. The enemy still have KV-1S left alive, plus a pair of Matildas and artillery. This is not really a set of opponents that you want to be facing. So it's not looking that good, and there goes that flak bus. So rather than try and face off against 2 Matildas, against whom this armour is not going to be particularly effective, he decides to use the one big advantage he has over the Matilda, and that is his downhill speed, because of course he can get away a hell of a lot quicker than the Matildas can. However, on the way he spots that M41 artillery, stops to take a couple of shots, and does get at least 1 hit. It wasn't a particularly damaging hit, but the blind hit might have done something as well. The remaining survivor, the Marder, has finished off the KV-1S though, and that is very good news. Presumably the KV-1S was not angling particularly well, or maybe the Marder was just reaching for his prem ammo, but that thing, the tier 4 tank destroyers get hurt a lot less by being down-tiered in terms of their gun capabilities, for the most part. There are some exceptions. I mean, I'm thinking of the French tier 4 tank destroyer, for instance. That's fairly terrible, whatever tier you're at. But, yeah, in this case, well, he still doesn't have a lot of ammo, and having come forward to expose himself to try and kill that artillery off, which Frenzy was actually able to do, that meant the Matildas could hit him. And Frenzia gets a little peaked here. Just a little bit. And it's understandable. I'm not condoning this at all. But it's understandable because he's having a really good game. And his one remaining ally has just basically driven forward somewhat unnecessarily, I would say, and exposed himself to getting killed by those Matildas. So, yeah, he is understandably a little bit annoyed by that, because 2 versus 2 is infinitely preferable to 2 versus 1, especially when the 2 remaining enemies are both these Matildas. Now that was an HE penetration. That was really very lucky. It must have penetrated the engine deck armor. So he finishes that guy off. I mean, without the HE penetration, that would have taken a good few more hits. But RNG's favoured him there, and he did all that without getting spotted. So I think even without the binoculars, he must have a not completely terrible view range. With the binoculars up, well, he can clearly outspot these Matildas. The Matilda is not known for having a particularly good view range. So that's his one big advantage right now. In close range combat, a Matilda would tear him to shreds. But if he can use his vision advantage, which he's kind of had to pay extra for, you know, and both in time and in credits. Unless these Matildas are also people that have had like 800 plus battles in a Matilda, which is not exactly an uncommon sight. It's a fairly capable tier 4 medium tank. I mean, the gun alone up tiers better than a lot of other tanks, but of course it's also very slow, and it's not like it has a lot of hit points to work with either. It's only got a little bit more health than this thing. So yeah, he does not want to get into a close range fight. He has to use the advantages that he has. So 12 AP, 13 HE, 1 versus 1. He's also got full health. He's managed to basically keep his distance and not take any hits so far. And okay, he's had to play rather passively to do that, but when you're bottom tier in either a tier 5 or a tier 6 AMX World of Tanks game, you absolutely have to not be aggressive. You have to not take the chances if you want to have the best chance of surviving, because you can get punished so easily. You know, you meet even an OI experimental can just easily one-shot you without any difficulty at all. The BDR-G1B with a high roll could probably one-shot you. I'm not actually that sure about that. It's 240 average damage. I'd have to figure out if it could roll high enough to one-shot you. But even so, and then of course there's tier 5 tank destroyers. And the tier 6s, well, I mean, I could probably be here a lot longer listing all the tier 6s. So it's come down to this. He's outspotted this guy. He's firing HE. I mean, he's actually starting to run out of HE, which is, this is not so good. Oh, and he's just chipping away. I don't know if this guy backs into cover. Well, I mean, there's time, but not that much time. Both of these are still quite slow tanks. And then that happens. Yeah, that was a frontal HE penetration on a Matilda with an AMX 40. Yes. Clearly, RNGesus looked down from upon high and said something, I don't know. I should have thought that through in advance. But anyway, yes, he blessed Frenzia there with that last final miraculous penetration. And as you can see, that was a hell of a game. Almost 2,500 damage, 8 kills. If this had been a tier 5, it would have been a Radley Walters game. But as it was, he only got the top gun for it. And he had to work rather hard for that. He fired his gun 53 times and was starting to run out of ammunition. So, yes, that was a genuine AMX 40 carry in a tier 5 game. That happened. So there you go, that is my Christmas gift to you all. And if you are a Portuguese speaker, you can even go and check out Frenzia's YouTube and his Twitch. I think he just streams every so often. I don't think he's terribly active on YouTube, but you know, it's something he does do. Not in English though, it is mostly Portuguese from what I can tell. But yes, from Frenzia and myself, I'm totally assuming, you know, I'm speaking on his behalf here, but I'm sure he won't mind. I would like to wish you all a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas wherever you are. And yes, I hope you have a good one, and I hope you have a happy New Year as well. So if you've enjoyed this miracle of duckness, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can sub to my channel if you haven't already, and as always, stay tuned for more.